The story is Stan, the main character. He's born looking like a devil, and he gets abandoned at the doorstep of this old lady's house at the top of the hill, and then I take him through his life, you know, different stages when he's a boy and when he's a teenager, when he's an adult, and just show his story of, you know, trying to connect and trying to find something he belongs in.
Me and Meirav lived together in this apartment in Sherman Oaks, and we would come up with like weird projects all the time. Making a film or a short film was always part of it. She already had this hobby of picking up crazy stuff in the street anyways, but we would just put random shit in this box and then like, someday we're gonna make something of this. And that's kind of how she had this brilliant idea of Stan, and it was gonna be the thing for the box, from the box. It was everything combined.
I remember I gave Julianne a call and I was like, Julianne, do you remember 2 years ago when we thought about making a claymation movie and we're like, yeah, that'd be cool. Do you want to do one with me? When we first started meeting about this, I was like, okay, Jules, so I have this character, a couple characters, and now I need a story. It was kind of backwards, maybe. At the time when I was trying to figure out a way to get into claymation, I said, okay, well, I really need a story. I need to think out who my characters are going to be and what their story is. I kind of started by drawing on my inspirations, like characters from movies that I really liked, animation that I really liked, and I was just kind of drawing out this character, and I was thinking too about like Pan's Labyrinth and that creepy old goat character. And so I came up with an image, you know, and from that image I started to flesh out his story, like who is this man and what he does and how he kind of connects with the outside world, and glimpses of like projections of my own kind of story of like someone who didn't quite fit in. I was always an artist. I was a little artist since I think I was maybe 3 or 4. After high school, I decided to go to UCLA for fine art. Mostly I was actually a painter and a ceramicist. I really loved creating sculptures, and I think that it wasn't until 2008, 2009 that I actually converted to a sculptor from a painter. I just needed something real and tangible, and to me a canvas was always, you know, it always reminded you that it wasn't real, and I needed to feel like something real, and art has helped to heal me and it's been my therapy all these years. And I think that's why I've also kind of turned to storytelling as a way to share my art. I put a lot of thought into who he is and where he is, and I spent a good amount of years in Simi Valley, and I was thinking, like, it's just such a perfect setting because there's all these beautiful mountains, and it's kind of old school. It's like they're stuck in the 60s, and I found all these images of, you know, what I wanted this character to look like and be like, and then I also came up with this other character who comes up later in the story that just ends up surprising him at his doorstep in a UPS box, and from there, that was kind of the ending of the story, and I fleshed out kind of going backwards and started to think about how he was when he was a baby, and then how he'd be when he was a schoolboy, and so I wrote this story, and at the same time I was making lists of, you know, what I needed to make, you know, for each scene. Just a list of things like, oh, I needed, you know, a hat and a rug.
I just remember pushing Meirav and asking questions and like, what does he do for like a living? Or like, what's he do as a hobby? And she had this great idea of the consignment shop, and I loved that idea because it made Stan and it made everything fit together.
He's sitting at his curio stand. He's trying to sell his collection of, you know, found things and I guess like broken thrift store finds. And so what I did was I had him, you know, reach his hand out to wind up the jewelry box, the music box. I took some Sculpey, which is what I used for my other sculptures, and started to create them based on the reference pictures that I pulled up on Google. And I just kind of sculpted them like I do with my other sculptures. I use needle tools a lot of the time, you know, just little needles in my hands, and you know, just kind of go in and sculpt them. And I think it took me about a week or two for each character to finish it, to kind of sculpt it and then bake it and paint it and make sure that it was working properly. And a lot of the things that, you know, I was kind of just learning was how to make these characters movable. A lot of it, I guess I'm kind of just self-taught about how to give a movement. So, you know, I used a magnet for his mouth, and with the other characters too, they have magnets to put the mouths on. Gave them marbles for eyes so I could take them out and give them, you know, closed eyelids. And I used wire for the frame just to kind of be able to manipulate it. So yeah, it was kind of like a learning experience, you know, to try to figure out how to give them movement. Because a lot of claymation is wet clay, it's like clay that hasn't been baked, but I had this look in mind of I wanted it to be like my sculptures, you know, and my sculptures are baked with Sculpey, and they're static, you know, they don't move, so this was kind of a cool, fun challenge for me. At the Hive Gallery, where I show my other work, my sculptures, I met this animator for Robot Chicken, Richard Zimmerman, and we got to talking, and he invited me to see Robot Chicken, and it was like an adult's playground. I thought, you know, why not? And I came up with this concept and then worked as an intern for Robot Chicken, and I just kept going with it and just kept fleshing it out and bringing it to life.
Things just kind of fell into place, and like even after like so many meetings of to-do lists and little projects that we found ourselves in, from the smallest things of like staining a dresser or hot gluing everything on that wall. Oh my gosh. There was a lot of little things, and you could definitely see it in the short film because there's a lot of detail in the work.
When people look at my art, my fine art, they always say, you know, you're so detail-oriented. Every feather and every detail is always highly rendered, because that's just my thing. I like detail, and I like to get up close and personal with everything I make. So it's actually kind of a natural transition for me to be working this small and to be paying attention to everything. And you know, what was fun for me is I started filming the scene where he gets the baby form of Stan gets brought into the house, and I decided, you know, it would be great if I even rendered a little bit of dribble down his mouth, you know. So I found all these creative ways to make movement. For instance, I made the grass move in the background with a little bit of a fan in the background. So, and then while all this is happening, I'm also moving the head of the figure and pressing in the fabric to make him look like he's kicking his feet, you know. So it's actually really kind of intimate for me. I like the experience of animating.
These are his old chopped off horns. One of the scenes he cuts off his horns, so I have it kind of come up later in the scenes. It's like something he kept.
The story of Stan just makes you realize that people see things in a different light, and you could pass by something on the sidewalk and think it's trash or junk or whatever, but there really is beauty in everything. And if you like kind of just open your eyes, like people can really treasure things just like all around them. So I think that's the beauty of Stan, really, in his character, because he just looks at things a different way, and he really connects to things because he can't connect to people. It's kind of like that beauty of that relationship and him struggling to connect, but connecting to other people's things, and it makes him stronger and comforted. I love that about Stan, and I think other people really could connect to that too.
I really like it. It's sweet and it's sad. I'm a bit of a hermit myself, much to the chagrin of my friends, so I get it, I think, because there's a freedom, but at the same time a loneliness to that kind of lifestyle. I don't know. It spoke to me.
At every movement, I have to literally just move him and then snap a picture and then move him again and snap a picture. And this is just like the process of stop motion. It took a lot of patience, and I don't call myself an animator in any sense, but I definitely had to learn a lot of things for myself when I was taking this on, because I just wanted to do it.
We both were like pretty clueless. I mean, we had like this one book of like the how to do stop motion, and we're like, yeah, okay, we're gonna do this, right? It's gonna be great.
I think the toughest scene was the schoolyard scene, because first of all we had to figure out these shadow puppets, which was hilarious. So we were sitting there cutting out all these puppets and trying to make them move normal, and it's funny because
one leg, one arm at a time.
Yeah, if you move a puppet that's like profile view and it's like, it looks just, you know, just discombobulated, but you know, somehow it worked. But yeah, that was a really hard one. So we had to move the shadow puppets while also moving Stan in the corner, and then making sure not to shake the kitchen table while stepping around the carpet and the dogs and not making a shadow. It was bizarre. I can't believe we even got that.
Scene. Oh, I love the thrown,
The crumpled paper.
Yeah, the crumpled paper. It's so great.
There was a piece of string attached to a piece of cardboard that I just kind of
oh my gosh,
levitated over the set. Because that one was so difficult, I think that it was also my favorite. Because when he was like crying, I think I was like crying inside because it was such a hard scene to animate.
We've been through so much together.
I think it's one of the few scenes that you can see like some real emotion in this character.
Mm-hmm. It was like a magnetized project because people saw like, wow, this girl's really talented.
When I first got that teaser, but it was just Stan walking up to a mirror and writing his name in dust. That was all there was at that point. And I was, not only was I like, yes, when I watched it, and I remember specifically showing it to my girlfriend, and she looked at it and she goes, "That's going to win an Academy Award for short animated film." And I was like, yeah, I want to do this.
Stan was left on the doorstep of a small run-down house tucked away on the hillside. Some said an old lady lived there, just long enough to raise him.
Once she brought her laptop and was able to show me some of the images, I was like, this is gorgeous, this is something special. And it would be so much fun to spend time to see what kind of sounds would be possible with just the hours and hours of the claymation and just all the action that's all happening at once. It's really, really fascinating, and it's something I'm very excited to be working on. The eyes blinking was kind of fun. The first time I was doing like goldfish popping mouth sounds, so it's just kind of like, and I tracked that, and I listened back, and it just seemed, it was one idea, but then I wanted to get kind of a flicking sound for his eyes. So I ended up pulling through my drawer of tricks, I guess, and oddly enough, this shotgun mic that we have just above us, I have the plastic bag, and I actually brought this really close to the mic, so it was very, very close, picked up everything, and all I would do is very close to the mic, I would just flick, just like that. And here, you could hardly hear it, but with a microphone, it's just very, very sensitive, and it sounds completely different.
I just really wanted all parts of it to be real. You know, I didn't want to go in and create a background or create, you know, landscape or anything. I just wanted everything to be in this lived space. So it took a long time to create everything. I started this project in July, August 2012. It's been a long time.